things to our own. Hold on one second.
Good.
And so we're looking at some ways that we can bring in like our turf care. We already have all of our staff on the park side, all of our full-time staff, that are, certified sprayers, and things like that. And so we're looking at opportunities to be able to do that and one, save a little bit of money, but create a little bit of efficiencies on it, so that we can spray when we feel the need as opposed to, when the contractor kind of gets around to it, or just kind of fill that gap. And it's not like it's hundreds of hours of time. We're talking about our athletic fields for the most part. And so, it's a little bit less of a burden that we would be taking on. The one thing that we would have to look at is just the equipment, the initial purchase of the equipment. But it wouldn't just be the budget of the park side of things to do that. We would be looking at ways to share that with other departments as well. So that is one thing that we'll be talking about during the budget process. I have submitted the initial budget to the city manager and the finance department, and we will be reviewing that budget here at the end of this month or the beginning of next month, depending on how that falls on the schedule. And then we'll be moving forward in that regard.
What fields do you guys spray? Is it your softball, baseball field?
So we do all of our athletic fields.
Okay.
And the main reason is just for care. It's, once it gets out of control with weeds and things like that, it's very difficult to get them back. But yeah, so it's our softball fields and baseball fields at Island Park, Pickens and Yost. And then our soccer fields at Sunnyside.
You know,
So-
the reason I ask is you were talking about equipment. Is this a chance to reach out to the schools and say, hey, if you do this, do we want to share
Right.
in this?
And that'll be one of the
Yeah.
topics that we have. Another one that we're looking at is, an automatic, it's a field liner. And it's called the turf tank. And it's basically runs off, basically GPS, and so you kind of type in the coordinates and it does field lines for you, which is a huge time saver for us. And it would more than make up for the other side of things and let us catch up on that. But what we would be looking at that for is so that what we would do is we would go out there, we would mow a field, set up that piece of equipment, and while we're mowing the second field, it's painting the first field. We move on to the third field, it's painting the second field. And so if one person could essentially do that entire process, where right now it takes two people just to line, and then one person at least to mow. So it would definitely create inefficiency on our side. We're looking at what those specifics are right now, just to make sure that we're not going under, we're not going reverse on that side of things, but it's definitely looking like we're gonna be in the positive if we go that route. In those pieces of equipment, you lease them, so you don't have any, I mean, it's a consistent cost every year, but you don't have the maintenance side of things, because it's all tied into that. Yeah.
They'll do batter's boxes and foul lines and stuff?
They'll do foul lines, but batter's boxes, anything with chalk, it doesn't do. It's just paint. So anything on grass. So that side of things, it would do. But so the field, which we wouldn't really want to get into the field side of things anyway, because we still gotta, maintain that separately. We have to drag them, we have to pull
Right.
bases and things like that. So that wouldn't be much of a time saver, if that was automated, just because there's so many manual things that you have to do anyway. But yeah, no, it's just grass stuff. So it's more like the soccer side of things, flag football. And when we switch soccer season, sometimes we switch sizes of fields in certain areas too. And so it's a lot more easier to adjust on those things too. Because you basically just type in, this is what I want it to look like, this is where I want it, and it goes. And then when you come back to that field to have to reline, it goes right over exactly what you had. It's insane how that technology works these days, but it's definitely huge on our side.
The bike night at Rubbles.
It's something.
Yeah, that's tonight.
It is.
But those are the things that we're kind of looking at on the park side. On the recreation side, we are as busy as ever. We have attendance that is rising in a lot of our stuff. We had the rubber duck race and we were surprised on the attendance due to the weather, and it actually was a makeup because it was canceled a couple weeks ago and it was made up and we still had bad weather. In the area, it actually turned out to be pretty decent weather during the event. But then we also had the Home Builders Car Show this weekend, and we did that in concert with our farmers market as well. But yeah, so there's been a lot of good things going on as far as our events and things, and our programs are going strong. So.
How's the Saturday farmers market?
It's going a little slow, but we're definitely growing. That's typically how it starts though. It takes a little while for it to gain traction. But we've definitely had quite a bit of vendors, over the first couple weeks. This last week was a little bit slower, but historically during those bigger events, we don't get as many of our market vendors just because they don't necessarily want to deal with the change of the layouts and things like that. Which is okay, you know, we understand that stuff, so. We're still reaching out to a lot of local businesses and working with them on that too, just because in this iteration of our Saturday market, we're not closing down the parking lot. We're closing down the small sections of roadway along the parking lot. So you have that little section on Broadway, and then you have the little section on Main. But Broadway turning south on Main is open, and then you can go through the parking lot and go south, so Mosier and come south. And the reason why we did that is based on our conversation with the vendors. It's difficult for them to set up on blacktop with some of their wares and things like that. Their food is melting and just they're losing some of their goods being on the asphalt. And so our compromise was just to move it so that they're basically lined up along the grass line in town center. And the nice thing is too, I mean, we have the parking lot then, so we don't have to worry about where people are parking. The one difficult thing about the parking lot itself is that we can't just close down sections of it. So if we're gonna close it down, we gotta close down the whole thing, and that market isn't big enough to close down the whole thing without looking empty. So it was kind of nice to be able to close it down that way. But we will continue to talk to businesses and get their feedback and see, you know, what their thoughts are on that too, because not everybody's on the same page. Not everybody likes it, but a lot of people like it, and so you kind of got to weigh those out too, so.
Sure.
As far as all of our upcoming events, those are listed on that back page. So you have the ones coming up in August. We'll have the artist battle from Art Reach. That is on Broadway. Then you'll have the Sturgeon Moon, which is down in Island Park. Potter's House Family Worship is down in Island. That's Summer Family Spash. Market for the Arts is another big one. That'll be on Broadway in Maine. That's August 22nd. And then you can keep going through there. One of the big ones that is in progress that you can see September 19th, we're working with the POW MIA group that had the presentation for the wall. they've had this event for a couple years now, but they're growing this event into being a food truck wars type thing. So it's going to get a little bit bigger. And the hope is that they can start using it as a fundraiser towards the wall. So they're looking at raising money for that. And they do have their account set up at the Mount Pleasant Community Foundation. And so they've already got quite a few donations going. So it's been a neat process. We are part of that account too, so we know what's going in and out so that we can make sure that we're part of that conversation. So it's not something that happens without us. As far as our Beat the Heats, those are all listed there as well. Movies by Moonlight. We now have the movies that we're going to show and the dates. And it's at Town Center, not City Hall. So we will be having it at Town Center. But yeah, so that is what we have in that area.
Phil, I noticed that neither of the Max and Emily summer concerts are listed.
So they're not listed, but they're here. So we have two concerts. The reason why they're not listed is because we still don't have a special event application. I actually talked with them today,
Oh, okay.
and so we should be getting that soon.
Yeah, because that, I don't know how late is dusk on August 23rd?
8:47.
8:47?
It's still 9 o'clock or a little.
We're hoping that the Jeff Daniels thing on Main Street, a block away, is gonna be over by the time the movie starts.
Right. Well, and that's one of the things too, is that we didn't have those dates before we made ours. So
Okay,
we're much easier to move than they are.
okay.
And we're aware of those things. But yeah, so
Okay.
that was one of the things that's always a stipulation when it comes to those concerts is we are at the mercy of when we hear those things. So unfortunately, I heard on Facebook before I
Really?
have heard from them. So,
Isn't that how
But-
it goes a lot of times now?
Yeah. and that's fine. But as long as I at least know about them, so that we can plan accordingly.
Okay.
But we are trying to work through that right now. So,
I was on the phone with Elmo this afternoon. I would have mentioned it to him. Said, hey, get your application in, will you, pal?
yeah,
Uh,
yeah, I was down there today and I spoke with them. So
Okay.
8:59 is the answer. So,
It's close.
You were
You're there, 12 minutes off.
Nice,
Okay.
nice.
A few meetings ago, we talked about potentially like doing a rotating, potentially beer garden in the
Mhm.
town center. That might be something to explore when we had the concerts, like doing the common area, like a social district type thing, and seeing if any of the breweries wanted to sponsor something
Right.
like that.
So right now, we're kind of at a standstill because we need the downtown restaurants to agree to the social district. And so we have a few on board and a few not on board. And so we're kind of working through that right now. But we're at their mercy. So we can't force that down the social district. And so that's kind of what we're waiting for right now is just for everybody to get on the same page in that regard. We did start our merchant meetings back up again. And so MMDC is kind of leading the charge on that. And so we're having monthly meetings again. And so that discussion has come back up again. So,
Nice.
and so the last thing that we have today, and the reason why we're on TV, so we don't typically do it this way, but that's how it was posted, and so that's why we have it done this way. But we need to have an official resolution recommending the adoption of the 2050 master plan update for the city of Mount Pleasant.
Sure.
I'm just gonna read this real quick, just to make sure we follow all the guidelines and stuff, but Whereas the City of Mount Pleasant Parks and Recreation Commission has elected to coordinate with the Mount Pleasant Planning Commission to draft, review, and adopt an update to the 2050 master plan pursuant to the procedures set forth in the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Master Plan Guidelines and the Michigan Planning Enabling Act, PA 33 of 2008, MCL 125-3801. And whereas the City of Mount Pleasant Parks and Recreation Commission held a public hearing on the proposed amendments to the 2050 master plan, inclusive of the charts, maps, demographic data, future land use plan, parks, facilities, and programs associated with and associated goals for the city on July 22nd, 2025. Now therefore be it resolved that the Parks and Recreation Commission of the City of Mount Pleasant hereby recommends adoption and approval of this 2050 master plan update. So this resolution was based on the presentation that I had previous meetings. This is the timeline that I was given now that we have to do it on. So that's why I'm coming back to you after we already approved what I presented the last time. This is just formalizing this. But basically in our update of the master plan, the only major change that I made was pulling out all of the projects that we can't do right now due to funding and replace that with our actual CIP.
Okay.
And so that stuff that is on our CIP we plan to do, that doesn't preclude us from doing other things. It just makes it known that this is what we have on the docket. And we still have things that may not be on the official CIP, but they're in the backup. So like things like replacing the farmer's market pavilion, those are things we know we need to do. But unfortunately, we're gonna have to find grants and different things like that to do those things. And so that's kind of where we left it for this iteration of it. Hopefully for the next one, we have a little different process. But it will still be tied to an actual budget as opposed to just kind of thrown out there. And the one thing that I definitely want to do or start doing moving forward is to tie it to recreation too. A lot of communities, especially in the state of Michigan, have a tendency to just look at their park system and tie their master plan to just the park system and not to the programming and different things that you can do in the system. And so moving forward, we plan on like the recreation needs assessment actually playing a bigger role in what is put into that plan. And outlining those types of things. We did put the needs assessment in the plan this year, but we didn't change anything in the actual plan. You know, so that was our outreach. And that's kind of our backup as to why things are the way they are in the system, you know, but it needs to be a little bit more organized. And it's just not where we kind of want to see it, but for the timing side of things, that was the best way to do it, in my opinion, for now. And as we all know, over a 5-year period, these things change. And sometimes they change pretty quickly. And so a lot of it comes down to money. And so that's kind of where I'm at, and that's kind of where the direction that I am kind of leading it. But the one nice thing is it doesn't preclude us from doing anything different.
Right.
You know, it's more, this is what we have the money to do. This is what our actual plan is to do budget wise. And let's go through that. And then if we have any additional funding, these are the things that we're going to look at, you know. But yeah, so if there's any questions, comments, or anything like that, we do not have anybody on Zoom. If we have any, no comments in the crowd, so.
Well, and procedurally, we would move and get support and then go to discussion if needed,
Okay,
right? So I moved the resolution as presented.
I'll second it.
Is there anyone that would oppose?
Well, we're not voting yet.
Gonna discuss.
Now discuss. Now you can say, let's move. Does anybody have any more comments for
Any-
discussion?
Anyone have any more comments to go into discussion? Seeing no comments, I need another motion to move to vote.
I'll make a motion to accept the resolution.
Got a motion on the floor to accept the resolution as is. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Do you need a voice vote or?
Nope,
Okay.
just A's and A's.
So with that, the motion pass with the resolution of recommending the adoption of the 2050 master plan update for the city of Mount Pleasant, 4-0. And it was declared today on July 22nd at 6:26 PM. Getting technical.
Matt?
Sweet. And that is all I have.
Okay, thanks. All right.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Oh, sorry.
Other comments?
Other
Yeah,
comments?
now we
Other
can.
comments? I've been approached by few people, let's just put it that way, about the growing homeless population on the trails and fearing for their safety. Anything we're doing to address that or
Say that again, the,
trails?
yeah, there's safety?
People
Okay,
are, not the homeless people's safety, their safety as well, but
Right.
people are uncomfortable walking through there right
Okay.
now, mornings and early evenings.
Mhm.
Yeah, people camping out on the trails? or-
Yeah.
Oh.
So we've started addressing that again. So that is something that's popped up. So we've started removing any encampments. One of the things that I definitely suggest is if people notice that stuff, to contact the Parks and Rec Department or the police department, just because camping is not allowed in our park system. But sometimes by the time we catch it, it's too late because you'll have people that will set up at night after we leave and they're gone before we're there in the morning. Or they're in a spot that we don't typically check. But we are looking at ways to deter some of that stuff. But it's,
The other day was really weird as we were walking, after I went on purpose, but there must have been, I'm gonna say 7 or 8 people, and they were spaced out pretty evenly from Mill Pond all the way to Mountain Town Basin.
Mhm.
And then we went around Island Park, came back about half hour, and they were almost everybody's in the exact same spot, just standing there with backpacks. Almost like lookouts. And
Right.
I know that's my skeptical side of like drug dealing, I don't know, but it was just
Right.
weird. But
Yeah.
I've been, more than one person has asked me about the safetiness of walking through there in the morning or the
Mhm.
evenings.
yeah, and we've had issues at the Mill Pond Pavilion in the mornings, especially when it's rented on the weekends. But we move them out when we get there in the morning and try to clean up and get it ready for rentals and stuff. We are definitely looking into options, but there is, in some cases, only so much we can do with,
Right.
based on how certain ordinances are written at this point. Yeah,
I talked to Jason this morning, who's our parks coordinator. And he said that they're going to be removing some trees to improve sightlines, especially in Milton. He's
One of
also,
the comments was, come around a corner, there's somebody standing right there and they're not doing anything, just standing there.
right, and that they're also looking to increase traffic on the non-paved trails in order to try and discourage people.
Traffic by,
us.
okay.
Yeah, by us and by like organized clubs. I know at one point he was talking about like a bicycle club that goes through those trails.
I
So
just read like on Facebook this morning, Bonnie's crew or cleanup crew was
Yeah.
questioning the safety of the downtown area is what they were saying.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know downtown is definitely one of the ones that is being discussed right now. But it's not just that area. We're definitely,
understood.
we're talking about it. It's just, like I said,
Okay.
it's one of those, it's like what,
It's probably an ongoing battle. I mean,
Yes.
they're like whack-a-mole.
well, and it's also one of those things too, that it has its ebbs and flows.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So, when it gets warmer out, that's when we tend to see a little bit more. And then we address it, and then it goes away for a little while, and then it'll come back. But it's typically the area around Mill Pond is
Right.
usually the worst. Unfortunately, that's just where a lot of the services are too. Is you have the soup kitchen, you have all
Right.
the
And I get
those
that.
areas. And I totally understand it. It's just, like I said, from our perspective, in a lot of cases, they're not doing anything wrong.
No,
And
some of
so,
it's just your own personal comfort level. That
Right.
doesn't make it right or wrong for people. I get.
right. So, but we are looking at what some of our options are, because some can get a little mean.
Uncomfortable doesn't mean unsafe.
Right,
I get that.
yeah. But we do have some instances where some of our staff does feel uncomfortable and unsafe in the mornings. And so we do call backup for
Okay.
the police department in the morning. And so that does help a little bit, because that deters it from the next day. So,
Speaking of our staff, the other comment that been hearing is they're flying through those trails on their gators.
okay,
Little too fast sometimes. Sight lines would probably improve that immensely.
right. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. They still shouldn't be flying through there. So even if they can see,
And I experienced that. As we came around, like, oh, it's like, geez, that guy took us out. So.
yeah. Oh, thanks for letting us know, for sure. We don't always have those eyes out there.
No,
so,
and I get that.
Yeah.
And
We
I'd probably go
appreciate
way too fast. If I had a gator, I could drive too. But
Yeah, but we also know we have some incidences out there, so we're trying to
Okay.
limit those things, so.
now I can go back and say at least I voiced their opinion, so. that's
Yeah,
good.
no, and all that feedback, like I said, please don't hesitate in having them contact us directly, because
It
the
was
more
nice-
times we get that, especially the timing of those things too. So,
It was nice being approached by somebody that wasn't involved in pickleball.
yeah,
One of the things off of the homeless population, because I'm on these trails on a daily basis, is that with the movement of the restoration home, is that what it's called?
yep,
I see them the homeless people will disperse out in the morning. Maybe there's a time that they're told that they have to leave.
Mhm.
And a lot of them now they gather right across from our new rest area on those benches. There's been numerous times where I've seen people even early in the morning sleeping on those benches right across from that new rest area. So that might be a hot spot that they're starting to go
Yeah.
to.
I know that is definitely a hot topic at the city commission level right now.
But yeah, I do notice a definite increase.
Yeah, we're definitely getting some feedback on that. And hopefully some movement on how to address that.
And the electric bikes. Talk about gators going fast. Those bikes zoom through so fast.
Yeah. Well, the ordinance
Let's just
is,
send them through Vites Woods.
what?
We can just send them through Vites Woods.
Yeah. No comment. So talking about the bikes and the e-bikes and stuff, we are presenting the ordinance change on Monday for a speed limit. It's going to mirror what is currently at Union Township, which is 10 miles an hour. So, those e-bikes, a lot of them, it'll vary, but a lot of them can go up to 20, 24 miles an hour. And so it's difficult to be able to differentiate between the models, or the levels of them. So you have 1, 2s, and 3s. And so it's much easier just to say, this is the speed limit. From our perspective in the park side of things, we're not enforcing that, the police are. And a lot of times where it'll become an issue is if there's actually any accidents. But at least from here on, they'll be able to look at it, and like if there's crossings and things like that where they're flying through, they'll be able to now address it after Monday. So, that is the hope.
I see them on the road a lot too.
Oh,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I'm also seeing golf carts on the trails. Is that,
No, they're not allowed.
okay.
Out on the streets.
Golf cart,
If they're street legal,
yeah.
I guess what, yeah, and then, yeah, I don't know.
if they've got,
Right.
that
And I don't know what the regulations
to-
are on that.
they have to have
but-
lights and mirrors and, yeah,
Oh, wow, okay.
just like.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, there was 2 of them.
Mhm. And those are becoming, between golf carts and side by sides and those things, they're becoming a lot more popular. I know I got some pictures of people that were attending the MMI concerts that show up in golf carts that come down the path. And so we try to address it, but by the time we get somebody over there, they're usually gone. So, but yeah, those are not allowed on our pathways. We're not going to deter them from coming into the park. It's just they can't come in on the park, on the paths.
Makes
So-
sense.
Peachtree City, Georgia,
Yep.
network of golf cart paths
On purpose.
on purpose. That's how the residents get around town.
Wow.
That whole place was designed for that.
Yep.
To get rid of the vehicular traffic, and so that everybody gets around by golf carts. It's one of the neatest things ever.
Oh, yeah. Although cheapest home in Peachtree.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those paths were not cheap,
No,
so I mean, they're gotta be wide enough to have 2 carts pass each other, so.
Any other commissioners' comments? Okay.
all right now.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Sorry, I'm in the middle of a roofing project and that's why I'm a mess and I gotta go back and finish, so.
A second to that.
Okay. There was a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting and there was a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting is adjourned at 6:38.
Your meeting next.
Learned I don't want to be a roofer.
We do not meet. We don't meet in August, correct? No.
That is correct. See y'all in September.
Yeah.